All right, we're going to continue on. Obviously, you know who this guy is, so this won't take very long. We're going to move through this pretty quickly because we've talked to him about him a lot so far, and you guys know him well from your U.S. history. This is obviously Abraham Lincoln. He's going to be the President of the United States. Born in Indiana, raised in Kentucky, only a fifth grade formal education. Self-made man, moved to Springfield, Illinois, became a prominent lawyer, became a member of the New Republican Party, and won the presidential nomination in 1860. Keep on going. He wins in November 1860. The South saw Lincoln's election as kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. After all the other events leading up to it, it was the election of Lincoln that Southerners figured spelled the death knell of their way of life, which is slavery, and so they begin to secede shortly after he is elected. The war is going to go from 1861 to 1865, and for the first time in human history, first time in the history of the world, a democracy is going to attempt to hold a democratic election in the middle of a civil war. This had never happened before. You know, your country's being torn apart in the way that this country is being torn apart. This idea of people just stopping and going to the polls and electing a new leader is unheard of. Most world leaders in this situation would simply just consolidate their power, grab control, make all decisions, and then when the war was over, people would just hope and pray that that leader would relinquish his power and give it back to the people. We did not. Our president, although accused of maybe stretching the office of the presidency during the war in order to achieve victory, never went too far beyond it to cause an impeachment or the people to rise up and overthrow him. And he allowed the elections to take place in 1864 as they had since 1788 with the election of George Washington. And as a result, things were going well for Lincoln by 1864. Things don't go too well in the beginning, but they go well for Lincoln in 1864, by 1864. And he is reelected. And this time he's reelected with an overwhelming majority of the vote. His rival on the Democratic ticket in 1864 is a guy that you may or may not have learned about yet. His name is George McClellan, a former general that Lincoln had to fire twice during the Civil War. McClellan is going to be nominated as the Democratic nominee, and he will run against Lincoln, and he will lose big time. In fact, the only state that actually votes for McClellan is his home state of New Jersey. So that is Lincoln. Obviously, you know he's going to be assassinated April 1865 by John Wilkes Booth after the war is over, just days after Lee surrenders to Grant. Lincoln will be in the theater and he will be assassinated, but we will talk about that at another time. So there is Abraham Lincoln, and you can move on to the next QR code.